And welcome back. Now for part two of our expat installment. As we said earlier, the overwhelming nature of the coronavirus outbreak has gripped the world with statistics, data, death tolls and phrases that are buzzing at the moment, like social distancing, flattening the curve, etc. And South Africans, how they feel about it, especially South Africans living abroad in the United States, to be specific. Sherwin Bryce-Pease spoke to them. So here's the second part of this.
We asked each of our participants the same questions about their experience working and living in the epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak. And in true South African fashion, they didn't hesitate to get a few things off their chests. Watch.
I developed all of the symptoms connected to COVID-19, which was a relatively mild version of the manifestation of the virus. But at the same time, what is quite surreal is that while I'm living with this virus inside my body, I work in the public health space here in New York, and I've been trying to fund initiatives to develop vaccines, therapeutics, and testing. And so it's sort of a strange experience having to deal with this thing on the inside and then fighting the virus globally. So that's been just fascinating from a personal perspective. Of course, I also have a young 1-year-old kid who's immunocompromised. And so during that period had to be locked up in this room, in fact, for about 12 days, which was just incredibly hard emotionally, physically, being isolated from my wife and my son. Living in the epicenter of the virus has been really, really strange. Hearing all of the sirens past the window and wondering who of the neighbors I'm interacting with or the grocery store attendants I'm interacting with have the virus.
The biggest change has been homeschooling, because my second born is 7. He just started first grade. We moved here. We moved to the suburbs in August, end of August last year. So we shifted him from a place that he's known his entire life to come and live here and start a new school and live behind all his friends. So it was already difficult for him to adjust to this new school. And then this whole thing happened, and now we have to homeschool. So it's been a huge, huge adjustment. He misses his friends. He misses being able to go to the playground whenever he can. You know, I'm also a freelance writer and editor, and the stories that I've been hearing from parents, because my focus now is parenting writing, is how much kids are just struggling with this. They're struggling with understanding what this whole virus is all about.
We've had 2 weekends where we've had sunny days, like this past Saturday and Sunday, and the week before that as well. And we took advantage of it and went for long walks. This past Saturday, we walked through Prospect Park, and it was scary seeing how packed it was. I've lived here for 3 years. I've never seen it packed like that during normal summers. It's worrisome for me. I think people are mindful, so everyone or most people wore masks, but just the proximity of how they hung out, that bothered me. And it is exactly because, as you said, most of us live in small spaces where every warm day you want to be outside, but I don't think people realize the impact that will have on raising the curve again.
We go to the park all the time, and as others have observed, the numbers are increasing rapidly. I find it interesting, though, that in the US there's this huge emphasis on freedom, on freedom of movement, on freedom of expression. And so in some ways, the sort of lockdown has impeded this very deeply inherent belief in this notion of freedom. And there's a bit of a friction, a contestation between, I think, US culture and the way in which the rules are being implemented. And I think we see this. There are definitely pockets of people who are breaking the rules, not necessarily wearing masks. Mm-hmm. I've seen people playing volleyball in the park when we know they shouldn't be doing that sort of thing. And I think we're reaching a point where after the 3 months or so that we've been in lockdown, people are slowly moving away from a strict implementation of the rules. And I am afraid of a potential second wave of COVID-19.
When this started as well, I decided to create a newsletter that I'd always wanted to do, this daily piece of writing, and I put all the events that are happening online into it, and it's been a real source of joy for me and comfort, and it's almost like this anchor that every day I put out a selection of 5 things that I would encourage people to watch or think would be good, and they're all things that mostly people have pivoted towards. So, somebody putting on a show inside their bedroom, or the Met Opera, as has been mentioned. And so it's just been really a great stabilizing sort of factor, and a great way to put a lot of the pictures that I've been taking while I've been out on the run into this newsletter.
Vessel works from home every day, right? And normally when I get home from work, I work in Manhattan, so I leave around 8 in the morning, and most days I get home anytime between 7:30 and 9. So it's a very long day. And when we catch up during the day, it's tidbits. So we both sound like we've been very busy. But what he is telling people right now is, I think Wayne's realized I'm not as busy as I normally am, because there are naps during the day. I'm going for a bike ride. I'm doing Chinese now. And I'm like, so when are you working, earning your cash? Whereas I'm jumping from Zoom call to Zoom call, going crazy. So it's been interesting to see our different work styles also. I've learned from him the importance of taking breaks, taking time for myself.
I'm generally a homebody, so the South African lockdown wouldn't impact me that much, but I still would prefer the US one, just for, the knowing that I can do what I'm able to do now.
Definitely the US one. Understand the need for the SA one, but US for sure. Do I need to expand on that? Yep. My twice weekly trips to the wine store for sure. The fact that we could still, at least twice or thrice a week, I can go for a longish walk to just, like Nadia said, for my mental health, get rid of the work frustration. I need that.
My friend who's a teacher here in New Jersey has lost 3 of her co-workers who were very close friends to her. She also had the virus, we suspect contracted from school. 3 other friends have had it, but thankfully they've recovered. And I place the blame solely on him, on Donald Trump, even though he says he remains blameless. Everybody's death I place on him. He has handled this in the worst way possible. South Africa can be very, very grateful to have President Cyril Ramaphosa and his cabinet, who are working very, very hard to keep this from getting as out of hand as it has in the US.
There are absolutely no words in the English dictionary to describe the absolute disaster caused by Trump. And, from afar, it's comical. And on the one hand, it makes for wonderful, entertaining television. On the other, there are such serious implications for the kind of rhetoric that he's spewing, the divisions that he's created.
So that's the perspective of South Africans living in New York and what they are currently going through under lockdown. And of course, New York being the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic in the United States.